Welcome back to Night Court. Welcome back to Night Court. I am Demetri Lit all day, otherwise known as Judge D Lit. And we are back. Good evening, M. Renee. If you're new to this channel and just not finding us, we hope that you enjoy our trial discussions and the trials we elect to watch. Please think about or consider subscribing. Hey, Living, thank you. Please consider subscribing and hit the notification bells. We meet here every night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and the cases are always interesting. Living has entered the building. Hope you had a good day. I've had a good day, and happy to be joining y'all again. Hey, and Renee, I was on here kind of a short time today. I was like, dang, but I had a couple of things to do. But anyway, tonight we get back into our legendary trial watch, our flashback trial. We are covering the 2002 State of Georgia versus, thank you. Child, this is what I was playing with today. My whole thing was to figure out how to do it like how I got it. I think it came out well. But anywho, so we're covering the State of Georgia versus Sidney Dorsey, the Who Shot the Sheriff case, okay? Sidney Dorsey was the first elected Black sheriff of Dekalb County in Georgia. He stepped in, and just like the predecessors he had before him, he fell right into the role and action of corruption. Everything from misuse of employees to hiring in people who wasn't qualified, to even with what we're going to hear about tonight from Miss Shirley McMichael, the lady on the left of the screen. She was a bondsman, the first Black bondswoman in Dekalb County. But that came at an expensive price. She would soon find out. Okay. So tonight we're going to hear her testimony. She alleges a lot of abuse of power in the forms of extortion for money and sexual favors in order to keep her position and keep her company going under his direction. Now, the corruption part of the trial or part of the charges are extensive, but there's even a more heinous crime that he's been charged with and he's on trial for, and that's for murder for hire. Sidney Dorsey, once he got unseated in his position of sheriff by this gentleman on the screen, the unalived, he was the sheriff-elect, Derwin Brown. This is Derwin Brown. He was all said. The people had spoken after years and years of Sidney Dorsey's corruption. They elected a new sheriff. But unfortunately for Sheriff Brown, he didn't even make it to get sworn in to start serving. That's because Sidney Dorsey conspired and hired 4 hitmen to assassinate Sheriff-elect Brown. And that's what he stands trial for now. This is a legendary trial stemming from 2002. It's a well-known true crime story. And we're on the third day, part 3 of this trial watch, but it's the second day of actual testimony. Again, we're going to be starting the testimony with one Miss Shirley McMichael. I keep wanting to say McDonald, but it's Shirley McMichael, who was the first bondswoman. She owned it. First Black bondswoman and bondswoman, period, in Dekalb County. Yesterday, when she took the stand for part 1, she told of years, almost from right out the gate, it seems. Soon as she got that contract for the sheriff, he was already calling in sexual favors from her. That went on for years. Then he kept retching it up. By the time she finished her testimony on direct examination from the state, he was extorting her for sex. He was extorting her for large sums of money. And she was in a state of fear and a state of losing everything if she did not concede to his demands. Hey, OG Woochai, welcome back. Grab a seat. That's right. I'm being fast. Good evening, C. Dupree. I ain't trying to be fast, child. I just took an interest back in planning my makeup. So it's no telling what hair y'all gonna see. It's no telling what makeup, what colors. Hey, welcome back, VA Sagittarius. I was waiting on you, girl. So please like this video. Please like this video. We're going to go ahead and get started. Don't forget, if ever you should miss any part, any of the testimony or the trial watch, there is a playlist for each trial. So if you look under the playlist tab on my channel, you'll see Who Shot the Sheriff. It'll say Legendary Trial, Who Shot the Sheriff. You can always catch it, and the thumbnails are numbered. Okay? So let's get ready to get this party started, because y'all know this testimony gonna be intense. We're going into the cross-examination of Shirley McMichael.
All right, Mr. Samuel.
Thank y'all.
Morning, Mr. McMichael.
Good morning, sir.
My name is.
Pause. Let's take a pause for the calls real quick. Guess whose birthday it is today, y'all? I forgot to tell y'all. Guess whose birthday it is? Let me get the birthday boy. His face dirty. It is this is our number one, our original gangster mascot, Rock. The first mascot, the official. Rock, come here. It is his birthday today. He is 5 years old. And he been acting like a little old man all day. Yes, I know his face dirty. Say, hey, Rock. Everybody say happy birthday, Rock. And he act like an old man. He do a lot of sleeping. And so I just want y'all to let y'all know it's his birthday. Ooh, he ain't got it. You come up here with your mouth all wet. All right, bye. Ooh, Rock heavy. Rock weigh over 20-some pounds. Thank y'all for the well wishes. He say thank y'all very much. All right, let's get to court is now in session. Get in order.
Don Samuel.
All right, ma'am, you're still under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Samuel.
All right.
Morning, Mr. McMichael.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Don Samuel. You have had the opportunity to speak with the GBI and with the assistant district attorneys and testified under oath a number of occasions. Is that correct?
This is correct.
Okay. In October of 2000, you spoke with Fred Mays. Is that right?
I don't recall the exact month, but I spoke with Fred Mays.
Okay. That was just prior to the meeting at O'Charlie's?
Yes.
All right. And then in February of 2001, on February 14th, 2001, you gave a lengthy taped statement to the GBI. Mr. Nix and Mr. Mays was there for that as well, correct?
I gave a statement to Fred Mays and the GBI.
Okay. Agent Nix?
I don't know his name.
Okay. Do you remember they had a tape recorder on when you were doing that statement? Okay. There were no defense attorneys there when you gave that statement, correct?
No.
Okay. Sheriff Dorsey wasn't there when you gave that statement?
Correct.
Okay. And you spent an hour and a half or 2 hours talking with them on February 14th?
I don't know, however long it took.
Okay. And then you testified at a proceeding called the special grand jury. Do you remember that?
I remember testifying on several, two other occasions, yes.
And the special grand jury was in April of 2001, is that right?
Like I said, I don't know the exact dates, but yeah, I testified.
All right. And there were no defense attorneys at that proceeding?
Okay.
Is that correct?
No, I believe it was just a grand jury.
Okay. And Mr. Morgan was asking you questions there?
Correct.
And you were under oath when you testified there, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then after that, you testified at what we call the indicting grand jury, and that was in February of 2002, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you testified under oath at that proceeding as well.
I don't know the exact dates, but yes, I did testify on several occasions.
Okay, and you were under oath in those proceedings as well.
When I was under the grand jury, yes.
Okay. And then you testified at the trial in March of 2002 when David Ramsey and Melvin Walker were on trial, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you were under oath when you testified at that trial.
Yes.
Okay. So 3 times you've testified under oath either at the grand jury or in a separate trial, correct?
I'm not for sure exactly how many times. You're not going to get me to say exactly 3 times, but I did testify.
All right. You spent a lot of time meeting with the assistant district attorneys and the district attorney himself?
No, I did not.
You've not spent a lot of time with them?
I have not spent a lot of time with them.
Okay. Well,
Actually, I spent a lot of time running.
a lot of time
Running and hiding.
running and hiding. All right.
Correct.
But you've not spent a lot of time with J. Tom Morgan preparing?
No, I have not.
Okay. You've not spent a lot of time preparing for the grand jury?
No, sir.
You've not spent a lot of time in interviews with them?
I have not.
All right.
Welcome back, Sean P. Went to get out my tight. She came in ready tonight. She got some sleep.
There are requirements to remain as a bail bondsman even under Sheriff Brown's tenure. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And you were not able to meet those requirements on time. Is that correct?
That is not true.
Isn't it correct that you were required to post certain collateral and do some audits and to accomplish those on a certain timely manner?
No, my collateral was already there from when I was with Sheriff Dorsey. My collateral never been removed at any time.
You had to do a corporate review?
I'm sorry?
You had to file your corporate tax returns?
I always file my corporate tax returns every year.
Mm-hmm. And you had to have a corporate review prepared by your accountant?
Correct, and I did.
And those were all done late and you were having problems with Sheriff Brown, is that correct?
That is not correct.
Let me show you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 13, the letter from J. Tom Morgan to Sheriff Brown. Your lawyer wrote a similar letter to Sheriff Brown, did he not?
Well, I need to read it first. This was because I was actually running from the sheriff.
Okay.
Because it was during the time that I was scared for my life. So
I would tender Exhibit D13.
Did you finish your answer, ma'am?
no, ma'am. I was actually running from the sheriff. This was the time when I have my children, and we did not want to be in one place. So it was not because I did finish my report, and it was during tax season, so I could not speed my accountant up no more than he told me when he was going to get it prepared. So I told him that my accountant, would not have it done on that specific date.
Okay.
I would tender D13, Your Honor.
D13?
No.
All right. Defendant's 13 is admitted without objection. There's a way you can enhance that. There you go.
This is a letter written from J. Tom Morgan to Sheriff Tom Brown, is that correct? Ma'am?
I guess so. I didn't write the letter, sir.
Please be advised that Mr. McMichael has been working very closely with my office with respect to our investigation for Sheriff City, Dorsey. I demanded a great deal of time from Ms. McMichael beginning in July of last year. Her time-consuming involvement in this investigation has undoubtedly contributed to her having difficulty in meeting the May 10th deadline. Is that correct? Was J. Tom Morgan being honest when he wrote to the sheriff and said that he was demanding a lot of your time?
I believe J. Tom Morgan, along with myself, was actually running for his life.
So J. Tom Morgan was running for his life?
Yeah, he was actually scared for his life along with me.
Okay. So that would explain why you wrote this letter to Sheriff Brown, explaining the reason for you being late in filing the tax returns.
She cannot answer why I wrote the letter.
Yes, you would have to ask him that.
When there's an objection, let me make the ruling. You don't answer questions unless there's a question posed, all right? That's how it works. Thank you.
Now, Ms. McMichael, I want to ask you about your sexual relationship with Sheriff Dorsey.
I still love to surf, snowboard, and of course skate. So I take quinone magnesium to support.
Okay, so that's one of the things why they play that commercial, child. Can't be helped. But that's one of the things I told you guys last night. I typed that I was somewhat suspicious of her demeanor, right? A little bit of it. She didn't. I don't think she's as meek as she was coming off. You know, that doesn't mean I don't think she's a victim, but I think yesterday she was leaning very heavily into her victimhood. Okay, which is all right. But tonight, as we see, she's a little bit more sassy. She's a little bit quicker, you know. So I feel like some of it is put on 20 on 10.
You have a fairly good recollection of the clothes you were wearing at various times. I was impressed that 4 years later, you can recall the clothes you were wearing when you first met him.
Correct.
And you have a very good recollection of the clothes you were wearing the first encounter at the house where you went that evening.
Correct.
You have a very good recollection of the clothes you wear from 4 years later. Is that right?
Because I was devastated, yes.
Okay. Now, let me ask you about how many times, all told, you had sexual relations with Sheriff Dorsey.
I can't give you a number of times, but I know it was several times, and every time was against my will.
Okay. Several times?
Mm-hmm. Many, many times.
Many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you say that he came to your house as much as 50 or 60 times?
Like I said, I don't know.
Okay. 100 times?
I don't know.
Possibly 150 times?
No, I wouldn't go that far, but he's come to my house over a period of 4 years a lot.
Okay. In fact, you testified at the special grand jury that your neighbors got to know his car very well because he was there all the time, correct?
My neighbor's seen his car, yes.
Okay. And that the neighbors, if asked, would say, oh, yeah, we see the sheriff over at Ms. McMichael's house all the time.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? Have they asked me?
You thought that the neighbors would say, oh, yes, we see the sheriff over there all the time.
Did I think that the neighbors would say that I've seen the sheriff? I would say that the neighbors would probably say that they know the car, yeah.
Okay. And when you were asked at the grand jury if he was constantly there, you said, yes, he was constantly in my house.
Because he was going through at one particular time, he was always over my house, and that's because he was going through something with his wife.
Okay.
And he was always over at my house.
Okay. Can you tell me why it is that when you were interviewed by Fred Mays on February 14th of 2001, you told him that you'd only had sexual relations with him a total of 8 times?
Yeah, I can tell you why.
You can tell me why you said that?
Mm-hmm. Because I was ashamed, basically, and did not want, it to be out. You know, I did not want, basically because I was ashamed.
Okay. So you had meetings with the GBI agent back in October of 2000 and talked about this before the O'Charlie's meeting.
Yeah, the Fred Mays, like I said, he came and I spoke with him. Yes.
Mm-hmm. You told one of your friends that he handcuffed you when he first came to you. Is that correct, Ms. Jones?
No, he did not handcuff me.
Did you tell Ms. Jones that?
Who's Miss Jones?
I'm sorry, Joyce, Kathy Joyce. You remember talking to her?
I remember talking to Kathy Joyce.
Remember telling Kathy Joyce that the first time you saw Fred Mays, he handcuffed you?
No, I don't recall that at all.
You deny that you told her that?
I don't recall telling her that.
Okay. My question is, do you deny telling her that?
I said I don't recall telling her that.
All right. But in February of 2001, when you were sat down with Fred Mays, you told him that the entire scope of your sexual relationship with Sheriff Dorsey was 8 times. Is that right?
I did tell them that.
Okay. And then you went to the grand jury just a couple weeks later, and you said it was many, many more times. This was just a week or two later.
Correct. I told them that it was many, many times.
Okay.
Welcome back.
At the grand jury, when you were testifying under oath, you said it was more than 10.
I don't know specifically what I said, but we've had sex many, many times.
Okay. You've had sex at your house.
My house, wherever he requested.
You've had sex at hotels where you would pay for the hotel room.
Correct.
Okay. And you had sex at his relative's house, the house that you went to the first time, correct?
I don't know who the house belongs to. He said it was his aunt.
Okay. You went there more than once, in fact. You met there. Is that right?
Welcome back.
I believe so.
Okay. Your kids got to know his kids, didn't they?
My 2 daughters got to know his one son because his one son always went with him in the jail, and my daughters were with me in the jail.
Okay. And you
And
would
so, I'm sorry. And so when he would call me up, of course, I had no one to watch my kids. So my daughters were always with me.
Okay. And you let the kids, you let your daughters run up to the administration and they'd hang out up there?
Like I said, my daughters were with me when he requested me.
Okay. And in fact, even when you went to dinner in October at O'Charlie's, you went with your kids.
Absolutely, because I'm a single parent and I'm always with my children.
All right. And your kids and his kids played video games together, correct?
Yeah, he sent them off. He gave them money to go and play a game while me and him talk.
Well, while we're on the topic of the O'Charlie's meeting, how many notes were passed back and forth between you all?
I'm not really for sure. I think it was just the one where he said that he asked me if I was wired. I'm not really for sure.
Do you remember testifying at the special grand jury that there were notes that were passed back and forth?
Mm-hmm.
You do recall testifying to that?
I do.
It was plural. There were many notes passed back and forth.
I don't know about the many notes, but
More than one.
Objection, Your Honor, that's not what the special grand jury says. It does not say meeting notes. No.
All right.
Post notes for the last one.
I think I can ask the question.
She need to show her the portion
Everybody
so
came
she
in
can
hot.
review that.
Okay.
All right? Just let her take a look at it. Read it to herself.
I'm going to hand you 2 documents. One is the special grand jury where you testified April 27th, and this is the indicting grand jury where you testified. I'll just leave those up there.
okay.
Is there a specific area you want her to look at for that last question?
I'm sorry.
Is there a specific area you want her to look at for the last question?
Yes.
All right. She
You
wants
testified that there were notes that were passed back and forth, correct? Page 27 of the special grand jury, line 25.
Judge got our hair swept out today. I think that judge stole my look.
I still love to
Okay.
surf, snowboard,
I
and
think
of course
she
skate.
copied
So I
my
take
swag.
magnesium to support my.
So yes, he does. He's attorney. I don't know why he didn't get an opening statement, quite honestly, because the first guy, the second chair defense attorney, he did horrible on his opening statements. But like I noted in the comments, when you watch the true crime shows and all that type of stuff, this is an attorney that mainly give the interviews, and he wasn't happy about this case even then. He still got attitude.
Yeah, they put notes on it, but if you read it, he said, as he started passing me notes to say I'm wired, he passed me a note.
Okay, look at page 28, line 5, and again, this is not he, this is you testifying. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Page 28, line 5, again, you talk about more than one note, that there were notes that were passed back and forth.
It may have been an error on the court reporters, but I believe, to the best of my recollection, he passed me one note.
Okay, the court reporter got it twice in the transcript?
It can happen.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Questions, not comment.
Now the court reporter gonna have an attitude.
In the, in your testimony yesterday, you said that you asked him, what should I tell him about the money, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you said yesterday, you testified under oath yesterday that his response was, are you wired? And then he got up and walked away.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what he did.
Agent Mays was out in the car listening in, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know that he was listening to the wire that you had?
You asked me if I knew that he was out in the car. I don't know where he was.
Did you know that Agent Mays was listening into the conversation?
I know that they gave me a phone and that the phone was supposedly been fixed. So I don't know where they were.
Okay. Wherever they were. He was listening into the conversation, correct?
Okay,
That was the whole point, all right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. And did you talk to him later about what it was that was said during this conversation?
Did I talk to Agent Mays?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about the conversation.
Okay. And Sheriff Dorsey, you said to Sheriff Dorsey, what should I say about the money, correct?
Correct.
And he said, tell them whatever you want. Isn't that correct?
I believe he said that.
Okay. Yesterday you testified that he just got up and said, I don't even want to see you again, and walked out.
He did that too.
Okay. But first he said, tell them whatever you want about the money.
He didn't first say that. His exact words were, if you really want to know, his exact words were, he is apologizing in the tape. If you listen to the tape, he's saying that I'm very sorry the way that I acted and what I did to you. And he's asking me for my forgiveness, and he actually tries to grab my hand across from the table, and I scooped my hand back, which was why he initially wrote the note in the first place. And he kept looking around, and because, like I said, I was so nervous that he kept saying, are you, you're not yourself today. So that's, I was nervous because I had never been wired before.
And you said, what should I tell them about the money? And he said, tell them whatever you want. Correct?
I believe he might have said that, like I said.
You had given him the $2,500 shortly before that meeting, correct?
I'm not for sure when it was.
Okay. You remember you testified yesterday about writing a check and then eventually giving him cash for that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And have you seen the campaign disclosure forms where he reported that donation on the campaign disclosure forms?
No, I haven't.
Welcome back, Silky Black.
You know what a campaign disclosure form is?
I've never seen one.
denial is that she's never seen a campaign disclosure form. She doesn't know what a campaign disclosure form is. It is not her record kept in the normal course of business. It certainly cannot be used to refresh her recollection. We already have a document again that shows where she wrote the check. I would object for a campaign disclosure form being admitted.
All right, response?
I'm just going to show her the document, see if it refreshes her recollection. If it does.
She says she hasn't seen one before. She doesn't know what it is.
Your Honor, whether she's seen the document.
Show it to her.
Let me show you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 14.
Damn, who missing his Cheerios this morning? He act like she did him something.
Without saying what's on it, does that refresh your recollection about making a campaign contribution to the reelection effort?
If you recall, I wrote the check on 7/21. This has 9/7.
Ma'am, listen to the question, answer the question.
Okay.
All right? Hand him back the document. Don't read or testify from the document. Give the document back to Mr. Samuel. Thank you. All right. Would you please restate the question?
Does that refresh your recollection as to the fact that it was reported as a campaign contribution?
No. That's a bad question. Try again.
Does that refresh it? I'm not quite sure what the book was.
That it was reported, how would she know it was reported?
Do you know whether the campaign contribution was reported on the campaign disclosure?
No, I do not.
The document we saw up there yesterday, the check register, is that what you call it, the stub?
Mm-hmm.
You indicated that you went to his office and you brought your checkbook with you, is that what it was?
I brought the check.
Just the check?
No, the check, it's like a little page. Yes, it's my checkbook.
Okay, and it's got the perforated, the part you keep for your records attached, correct?
Correct.
And you wrote out the check while you were there?
I had actually wrote it before I got there.
Okay, and when you got there, he said he'd prefer you to give him the contribution in cash?
Correct.
Okay, and did you take the check and go back and cash it or just ripped it out?
No, he took the check and ripped it up.
He took the check and ripped it up, and then later you went out and got cash? Okay.
Correct.
And that was the campaign contribution?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know if that was the campaign contribution, but that was what I gave.
In fact, later you got a refund from the campaign, correct?
I never got a refund.
Didn't you get a $500 refund because the campaign limits are $2,000?
I never got that. I'm sorry.
You didn't get a check back from the Dorsey campaign on December 31st?
No, sir.
All right.
You can show me a copy of that.
We'll do that, Your Honor. You testified yesterday that you were the one who set the.
I'm sorry, let me interject. I don't think I've mentioned this. Because of the notoriety of this situation and the positioning with him being the elected sheriff, they actually got granted a motion for changing venue. I don't think I've said that. So they're not holding this trial in Dekalb County. They went over several counties. They went and they're doing it in several counties over. Just so y'all can know that.
The location for Charlie's, is that correct?
I never testified that. They said that I set the location for Charlie's.
You paged him and you responded to Mr. Morgan yesterday. You were the one.
Yes.
Okay.
I paged him at Charlie's.
Okay. Now, let me go back to the first encounter you had. I think you said it was in August of 97?
I'm not for sure the dates.
Okay. Now, you testified yesterday that you went to, did you go to the sheriff's office? Did you testify yesterday? Did you go up to his office on that day? Did he call you up?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase
I'm
that?
talking about August of 1997, the first time you went to the house and had sexual relations with him. Okay?
I didn't never say it was August of any date.
I think you said about 6 months after you got your license. So
Correct.
You said you got the license in February, so I'm guessing it was August.
I'm not for sure of the exact date.
Can we just hypothesize it was July or August?
Okay.
I'm not trying to pin you down on a date.
Okay.
Sometime in the summer.
In the summer, yes.
So sometime in the summer, the first time this happened, did it begin with with Sheriff Dorsey calling you up and asking you to come upstairs to his office?
Correct.
Okay. Now, at the grand jury, you testified that someone else called you up and not Sheriff Dorsey.
Well, it was the sheriff's office.
Okay. So it wasn't the sheriff who called you up.
Someone from the sheriff's department got on the phone first, then the sheriff got on the phone.
All right. And did you actually go up to his office?
No, I did not.
You did not go to his office.
I can't recall. We're talking about 1997.
Okay. You remember the clothes you were wearing, but you don't remember whether you went up to his office or not?
No, because it was a regular work day. I mean, you remember when it's a special moment in your life or if it's a devastating moment in your life, but I don't remember our everyday course of business, No.
As a cardiologist, when I put my patients on a statin to reduce
Oh Lord, they're
cholesterol,
gonna kill us
I
with
also
the
tell them they can
commercials
deplete their
tonight.
CoQ10 levels.
Last night they let us make it with the commercials. But that's okay. Give me an opportunity to talk to y'all a little bit. But yeah, like she's saying, I would have told him, sir, I can remember what I was wearing the day I got mauled in a house with no water, no lights, standing up with my face against a wall with a house with rats. I can remember specifically what I had on. Her face.
Let me ask you to look at the special grand jury. You got that one up there? Wait, look on page 15. Line 18. He said he wanted you to come up to his office. You went up to his office. You were nervous, being in his office and stuff. And he told me there was nothing to be nervous, to sit down and stuff, and that later on he was going to call me. And he wanted me to meet him somewhere. And I said, okay. Is that what you testified at the special grand jury?
Yeah, that could have happened.
You went up to his office. He said, I'm going to give you a call later. And you said, okay.
That may have happened.
Okay,
Like I said, we're talking about 1997.
that's correct. We're talking about the summer of 1997.
Yes.
Who was it from the office who called you earlier in the day?
I don't understand that question.
Who was it from the sheriff's office who called you earlier in the day?
I have no idea. I don't know any of the sheriff's employees.
Well, you know them all now, don't you? You've been there 4 years going up there.
I don't know any of them. I don't hardly know any of them because we don't see the sheriff's department. When we are writing a bond, the only person that we see is like the people that are at the window that are taking our bonds from us. So I don't know all his direct staff. It's two different departments. The sheriff's department is on one side of the jail, and on the other side is like the deputies and the people that's corresponding with the bonding companies. So it's two different sides.
How many times have you been in the second floor administration building, ma'am? 50, 75?
I'm sorry?
50 times, 75 times?
I don't know.
Well, you've been up there many, many times.
I've been up there many times.
You know Lieutenant Baker up there.
I definitely know Lieutenant Baker because that's his right-hand man.
You know Dana Scott up there. You know Ferguson.
Okay, hold on. Let her respond as to each.
I don't know. Understand what was the second person's name?
Dana Scott.
I don't
Chief
know her by
Deputy.
name.
You know Deidre Scandrick.
I remember Miss Deidre, yes.
You know all the people up in the office area up there.
I probably know them by face, but I don't know them.
Was it a woman or a man who called you up?
It was a man.
Okay. Was it Lieutenant Baker?
I didn't know them back in 1997.
And you say that a deputy met you at a Church's Chicken or a Popeye's Chicken, and the sheriff was there too?
He didn't meet me, he met him.
Okay. Who was the deputy who was there that day?
I don't know who the deputy was.
Okay. And you went to the house, right?
Correct.
Okay. I think you described it one time as being like an Addams family house. You remember that?
Yes.
And you say that you went in and did he rip the buttons off the blouse?
Yes, I guess you could say like kind of.
Did you keep the blouse?
I did keep the blouse
Okay, I mean, you kept your underwear for 4 years in a safe. Did you keep the blouse?
because it had sperm on it.
Did you keep the blouse with the buttons ripped off?
Eventually, I did not.
And you say that he lifted up your skirt, is that correct? That's what you testified to yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you remember that clearly because you have this very clear memory of the clothes you were wearing, correct?
I'm not saying I have a very clear memory, but I remember him
Lifting up
actually
your skirt.
pushing me, kind of like pushing me up against the wall and having intercourse with me and sticking his thumb in my mouth.
Right. And he lifted up your skirt, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You remember when you gave your statement to Agent Mays on February 14th?
I don't know.
It was taped.
I don't know which one is Agent Mays.
You don't know who Agent Mays is?
I mean, which page are you talking about?
When you were talking to Agent Mays, what you told him was you were wearing pants on that day. You weren't wearing a skirt.
Everybody relax, take a deep breath.
May have been.
Okay. But when we began today, I complimented you on your memory of the clothes. You said it was so devastating. You remember the clothes clearly.
Are you saying that the day that we had sexual intercourse,
Yes, ma'am.
that's not the same 2 days?
Your Honor, where is he referring to?
I don't know, where are you talking about? I don't understand.
Hold on,
That transcript of the tape.
hold on.
I believe you're talking about 2 separate days.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, hold on. All right. Show her her statement, let her look at it, and then ask her. All right?
What, Your Honor, what I'd rather do is ask the question and then confront you with the prior inconsistent statement, if I may.
All right, gentlemen, if you'll approach, please.
Uh-oh. All right, boy.
We're talking about, I just want to make sure we're oriented the right place. We're talking about the time in the house when you first had sexual relations with Sheriff Dorsey, correct? You understand?
Correct.
Okay. You testified yesterday he lifted up your skirt, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I'm asking you whether you told Agent Mays in February of 2001 that you were actually wearing pants and you weren't wearing a skirt.
I can't recall. We're talking about 1997, sir.
Now, your interview was in 2001.
When the GBI came after me, I was very, very scared. When I did that interview, I tried to say and tell him exactly what I know. I was scared the whole for the last year and over the last 2 years, I've been tormented. My whole family has been tormented. So I cannot recall like what time, date, I have not. Well, you remember I was living in my bonding company also because I did not have a desk, so I worked 24 hours around the clock until I got furniture in my office.
Did you tell Agent Mays
Let's see.
in February of 2001 you weren't wearing a skirt that day, you were wearing pants that day?
I'm sorry, I'm not so sure we all heard that. Can you?
Did you tell Agent Mays not that you were wearing a skirt, but that you were wearing pants?
It says on here, I can't remember.
Did you tell Agent Mays
If you read that statement, it also says I can't remember.
Investigator, you said he undid your pants. Is that correct? You were wearing pants? Shirley McMichael. Mm-hmm. Investigator, one other thing I want to ask you. Did he move most of the material, or how did he do it? No, he unbuttoned my pants. Is that what you said?
That's what he said.
Your description of that's what he said?
Is that what you're saying?
Shirley McMichaels, no, he unbuttoned my pants.
Okay, so I can't recall what I had on, whether it was pants or skirt. I do remember though that day, that morning, I believe I had on a skirt, a suit.
You remember the morning. You don't really remember what you were wearing when you first met Sheriff Dorsey either, do you?
What I do remember is that he sexually violated me.
All right. I want to talk to you about the first time you met Sheriff Dorsey back in his office back 6 months earlier. You don't remember what you were wearing back then either, do you?
I probably, like I said yesterday, I probably had jeans on because I only had a couple of suits.
Actually, yesterday you testified that the first time you saw him, you were wearing a pantsuit. The second time you were wearing blue jeans.
Probably.
Okay. Do you remember meeting with Captain Goodrow and Deputy Jackson also about your bonding problems?
What bonding problems?
Problems getting your collateral together?
I believe my collateral was in place. They do an investigation when you do your bonding company. They do a background, they investigate your finances, and they have to make sure that your property is free and clear of any encumbrance, that you cannot have any liens, and it has to be a total of $100,000. So they were probably appraising and evaluating it.
My question is, do you remember meeting with Captain Goodrow?
I remember meeting with Captain Goodrow, yes.
And you remember meeting with Deputy Jackson, both of whom were involved in approving your bail bonding company back in '97.
I don't remember Deputy Jackson, who you're talking about.
Deputy Jackson?
No, I
Remember
don't.
going to Goodrow's office and you were wearing a skirt down to here and no underwear on?
No, I don't remember
You
that.
don't remember that?
How do you know I didn't have any underwear on?
All right.
Did J. Tom Morgan ever show you the grand jury testimony?
Ma'am, don't argue. Answer the questions, all right?
Okay.
Did Mr. Morgan ever ask you about your first encounter with Captain Goodrow?
No.
Let me see if this is refreshing your recollection. I'm showing you the grand jury testimony of Captain Goodrow. Page 22, page 21. Does that refresh your recollection about the first meeting you had there?
See, I don't remember who Mrs. Jackson is.
Okay, so we it's a lot of talk going on in the chat box about what she had on and what she said. She said both yesterday when they was asking her, when the prosecutor was asking her and talking about the first time she actually went to the office or the first time he actually for the job with the interview, they asked her what she had on, and she said she had on jeans and a shirt because of the random meeting. Exactly. She said she just had a random meeting, and that was one day. That's when she first met him about the bonds company setting, getting the contract. Now, about 6 months later, after she had the bonding company and was in business, that's when he made that call, had his deputy call her and told her where to meet up at, and took her in that car to the Adams family type of house. It was 2 different times. It was the jeans and t-shirt the first time. The assault was a skirt. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Okay.
That's Captain Goodrow.
Mrs. Jackson is Captain Goodrow.
That is Captain Goodrow's grand jury testimony. Does that refresh your recollection of the first encounter you had?
I haven't read it yet.
Hold on. Slow down. Read it. Tell us when you've finished.
right, went to right. And then 6 months later at the house,
snowboard, and of
because
course
the
skate.
house thing didn't happen the same day when she first got on. He didn't try to get the sex from her right off. He waited till around 6 months. Let her get a good feel for it, let her get a couple of checks, all that good old stuff, right? Then he snuck that little nasty work in. Yep. So you see, we gotta be tuned in. Because it's a lot going on, and it's just the first witness. When we get to the hitmen, it's gonna be a lot. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I already know it's gonna be a lot. Okay. Please hit the like if you haven't done so. Child, now she's gonna try to make sure she read extra slow to make them wait.
It's only 1 sentence, not bad.
All right.
Okay, yes, I read it.
Does that refresh your recollection?
No, it doesn't, because I don't know who Miss Jackson is.
Do you remember meeting with Captain Goodrow?
Yes, I believe
Let
Captain.
me show you Ms. Jackson's grand jury testimony about that meeting. This was Goodrow. This is Jackson's grand jury testimony.
Are you talking?
See if that refreshes your
Are
recollection.
you talking about Sergeant Jackson, or I don't know this lady Jackson. The only person I ever remember that meeting with is Captain Goodrow. So I don't know who Miss Jackson is at all.
I'm just asking you, does that refresh your recollection about the first meeting with Goodrow when you talked about bonding and then went up to see Sheriff Dorsey?
All right, hold on.
Just read the
Document.
There was never, I don't recall ever being with anyone else except for Captain Goodrow. I don't even believe Sergeant. If you're talking about Sergeant Jackson, she is a sergeant and she would have nothing to do with bonding.
Ma'am, read the document. Let us know when you finish reading the highlighted portions. All right, have you finished reading the highlighted portion?
Does that refresh your recollection?
No,
Ma'am?
no, it doesn't. Because like I said, I don't recall ever speaking with Mrs. Jackson.
Do you remember Captain Goodrow running out of the room and saying, I need to have another deputy in here before I talk with this woman?
Never.
You don't recall that?
No, I don't recall that.
All right. You didn't tell the GBI that you campaigned for Sheriff Dorsey for his reelection, did you?
Because at his request,
You went to polling places and campaigned for him?
at his request.
You wore T-shirts?
I never wore a t-shirt of his.
You recruited your nephew to work on the campaign for his reelection?
I didn't recruit my nephew.
You asked your nephew to help with the reelection campaign?
He asked me to ask several people to help.
All right. And you asked all your friends to come help Sheriff Dorsey get reelected, correct?
No, I didn't ask all my friends.
Okay. Tell us about the fundraiser you had at the comedy club.
He was saying that he was going to run and that, Winston Pittman gave, all the bonding companies basically gave different events for him. And so it was actually my turn. Winston Pittman had given his birthday party every year. And so I gave a party
At the
for
comedy-
him at the comedy club
where you had previously worked,
where I worked.
to raise thousands and thousands of dollars for his reelection campaign.
I don't know how much it raised because I never was in charge of the funds.
Okay. But you were in charge of the fundraiser.
I only provided the venue.
Okay. And you gave a speech, stood up in
His-
front of everybody and gave a talk.
His accountant was in charge of the funding as well. He was my accountant too, because when I first started Speedy Bonding, I didn't know anything about business, so he set me up with the accountant. I didn't know.
The question wasn't about your accountant. Please ask the question again.
You gave a big talk at the campaign, at the fundraiser at the comedy club where you'd worked to help raise money for his reelection.
I
Yes?
probably gave a 3-minute speech.
You've had conversations with other sheriffs about how much you appreciate what Sheriff Dorsey has done for you, haven't you?
I never had a conversation with another sheriff, never.
Sheriff Tuggle, Chief Deputy Shelby Foles in Clayton County?
I never spoke with Sheriff Tuggles himself. I never did. I spoke with Chief Foles.
Okay. And Sheriff Dorsey was trying to help you get your bonding company established in Clayton County as well, correct?
He said that he would give a call to him.
Okay. And you use Sheriff Dorsey as a reference so you could get your bonding company established in Clayton County, isn't that right?
Yes, so I can leave the DeKalb County so I wouldn't have to be underneath his pressure.
Okay. You told Judge Green in DeKalb County how much you appreciated Sheriff Dorsey's administration, didn't you? You know Judge Green in DeKalb County?
Absolutely, I know Judge Green.
And you told him how much you liked Sheriff Dorsey and all he was doing for the county.
I wouldn't tell him that I disliked him.
You asked Sheriff Dorsey to go to your kids' schools and talk at a program there, did you not?
No, I did, but it was per the request of the teachers.
And you asked Sheriff Dorsey, and he went and he gave a speech at your kids' elementary school, is that right, or junior high school?
He gave a speech at the elementary school.
Okay. You introduced your mom to Sheriff Dorsey,
Absolutely.
many occasions.
No, my mom hasn't met him on many occasions.
You had Thanksgiving dinner together with Sheriff Dorsey and your mother, didn't you?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so?
I don't think that was Thanksgiving.
Okay. You remember your mother cooked food? Your mother's a good cook, isn't she?
She is.
And you invited Sheriff Dorsey to come over to your house and have dinner with your mother there, isn't that right?
Well, I had a party.
And you invited Sheriff Dorsey to come to your house to have dinner with your mother.
Not, you're saying it to have dinner with my mother. I had a party. I invited him to the party.
Right, right. And there was also a Sheriff Dorsey's birthday party, which was often a fundraiser. You brought your mother there too. You recall that?
No, my mother's never been to his birthday party.
Okay. What party was it that she went to where there was a big fundraiser and you brought your mother to meet Sheriff Dorsey? And you bragged about knowing Sheriff Dorsey to your mother.
Oh, no. No.
What party was it?
It was a party that he gave for another person that was running for office, so I don't really know what party it was.
And you brought your mother there.
I brought my mom there.
Okay.
I brought my mom along with my date.
Okay. And what party was it where you had a fundraiser for Sheriff Dorsey and you auctioned yourself off as the kind of a door prize to raise money?
Oh, that's not true.
That never happened?
That never happened.
People got to bid for a night out with Shirley McMichael.
No, that's not true. What happened was it was at his party and a lady, they were playing like a game, a dating game, and a lady asked me to volunteer. And I said no, and she raised her hand up. She was like, no, we're going to put Shirley in there. So there was 2 other women. They needed volunteers for it, and I did not volunteer myself. Another lady volunteered me, and there was 2 other girls there, and they played like a bachelorette game, but that was for his birthday party.
Okay. Every time you went to a hotel and met with Sheriff Dorsey, the dozens of times that you did that, you would pay the bill at the hotel, isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
You would pay by credit card or you paid by cash?
Probably.
By the way, you testified yesterday that you never told your mom about what was going on with you and the sheriff.
Not until after towards the end.
Okay, you did tell your mom, didn't you?
Towards the end, because, eventually it would come out.
Right. But yesterday you testified, I never told my mom.
I never told my mom during the course, but I did tell my mom towards the end because my mom had to know why we were moving.
Or your own house. You never reported this to anybody because there was nobody to tell. Is that correct?
I think you're over exaggerating with the hundreds of times.
Okay. Well, I invited you to correct me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was it 100 times?
Like I said, I don't recall the time, how many times, but it was a lot of times.
Okay. Would you agree with me that between 1998 and 1999, 50 times alone in your house?
I don't know.
About once a week, maybe twice a week sometimes?
I don't think I was seeing him like that.
Okay. Okay. But you didn't tell anybody, correct? That this was
Well-
non-consensual.
I'm sorry?
You didn't tell anybody in law enforcement that this was non-consensual.
I didn't hardly tell anybody, period, because like I said, he told me the very first time that it wasn't going to do any good if I told anybody, so I never told anybody.
Right. I think you testified that he said to you, who will they believe, you or me? Something like that?
No, he said that they're not going to believe me from when the very first incident that happened at the house when we spoke, and he was like, if you tell anybody, they will not believe you, which was why I saved the underwear for 4 years.
And you didn't go to the GBI. You had the underwear. You didn't go to the GBI, right?
I didn't go to the
You
GBI.
didn't go to the FBI.
No,
You didn't go to the United States Attorney's Office.
no.
Ma'am, you've had 2 years of law school, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
You went to Emory Law School, is that right?
No one.
Ma'am, did you hear my question?
Yes,
Did you go to Emory Law School?
yes, I did.
For 2 years you went to Emory Law School?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes.
Who were your professors at Emory Law School? Do you remember one?
I believe one that I have was Professor Bright.
Bright?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what years were
Okay, I gotta say this. If he about to bring out some type of sordid affair or some type of sexual misconduct on her behalf or something like that at law school, I'ma die. I'ma die. I'ma die. I'ma die. I'm just letting y'all know in case I don't say nothing no more.
you at Emory Law School, ma'am?
I went in 1991 to 92.
Were you a full-time student at Emory Law School?
No, I wasn't.
What name did you register at Emory Law School?
Shirley Bercini,
Spell the last name for me, if you would.
Bercini.
Were you a full-time student there?
No, I was not.
We're getting a little far afield.
May I approach?
Certainly. I mean, if there's something.
Oh, I think he about to bring up some sordid detail from her past. I got a feeling. Oh, they whispering. I want to hear. I like when the little lane jury box be lit up.
All right, proceed. Let's take a 10-minute break. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a 5-minute,
you know what's about
10-minute
to-
break. So if you need to go use the bathroom, please do so.
Oh, y'all, you think he finna bring up some type of sordid detail from her past at that school, like her having an affair with a professor or something, even though, you know, it would go to character. It would go to, dang, what happened? Is Apollo back? No, he's not back there. Oh, Lord. One second, y'all. Let me make sure my modem is Oh man, I don't miss nothing. I gotta push pause, y'all. Hold on. Let me check and make sure this is why you're not gonna come out. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry about that. Let me get that set back up. Sorry, but we are back. One more moment, y'all. Gotta reshare it. And I don't know if it's in the right place or not. Let me see. Child, I gotta put a baby gate up. Nah, I gotta find where we was at because it's not in the right spot. Let me see. Oh Lord, it's gonna play through every commercial while I find it. So I'm gonna read the comments while I'm fast forwarding it. Fast forwarding it. Well, if he does, that still does not make her non-victim. Absolutely not. It should still be a victim. However, and it is a however, right? Where's Lady Steph? She called me Judge Reason, wait a minute, what? The benefit of the doubt. You know, we all know he got to do his job, right? But part of his job is to show character or lack thereof. It's also to show trustworthiness, or what's the word? You know, whether she a liar or not.
I'm just trying to get an idea.
2 days. 157 of the deposition, and I'll get it in the record before the end of the day. Pre-trial notice. There's no requirement that we have a 31.3 hearing or a similar transaction type hearing. It just requires notice. We've given the names of all the lawyers in this case to Mr. Clegg. We sat down with Mr. Clegg in his office, explained who these people were, explained about this lawsuit. I can't say that I...
Tomorrow night too. And do y'all want tomorrow's Valentine's? Let me know in the chat. Do y'all want to come live tomorrow night? I personally am not going to have a date. Tomorrow night, my honey got to work all weekend, so I won't be on tomorrow day. Okay, we hooking up tomorrow day. But I can definitely be here tomorrow night. Hold on. Okay, that's the very beginning. Let me know in the comments, but I can't see it right now.
All right.
I think I can ask the question.
She need to show her the portion so she can review that.
Okay.
Okay,
All
we saw that part. Sorry, y'all.
This has 9-7.
Ma'am, listen to the question, answer.
Damn, we've seen a lot.
On companies. So it's two different sides.
How many times have you been in the second floor of the administration building, ma'am?
Yeah, I know we've been here that long.
The time in the house when you first had sexual relations with Sheriff Dorsey, correct?
Has to be a total of $100,000. So they were probably appraising and evaluating it.
My question is, do you remember meeting with Captain Goodrow?
I remember meeting with Captain Goodrow, yes.
And you remember meeting with Deputy Jackson, both of whom were involved in approving your bail bonding company back in '97?
I don't remember
I was
Deputy
saying
Jackson, who you're talking about.
Deborah Jackson?
No.
Yeah, we saw this part.
Read the document. Let us know when you finish reading the.
You didn't tell the GBI that you campaigned for Sheriff Dorsey.
Oh,
For his
maybe it
re-election,
went to
did you?
the next video.
I didn't hardly tell anybody, period, because
Oh, child, that's what
What name did
happened.
you register at Emory Law School?
Shirley Burchini,
Spell the last name for me, if you would.
B.
Okay, y'all. Come on, Demetri. Wake up, Judge. Wake up, Judge Lit. Okay, so what happened was that was the end of that part 2. This is the part 3. This trial is nowhere on YouTube. I have to play it on here. Okay, so let's do some. Let me get together. Let me get my bearings. Today is only the 12th. That's right. I still won't be on here tomorrow because my honey is still coming tomorrow for our Valentine's during the day because he got to work starting tomorrow and all through the weekend. So I will be on here all during weekend. Okay. I will be here this weekend and I will be live and stuff like that. So that's what that is. So we will be here tomorrow night. Okay. Now let's get back to the trial.
All right, gentlemen, please be seated. Please proceed.
Actually, it was a program that I was under. It was for like people who couldn't afford It was like a scholarship type thing that if you completed so many hours of case study, and it's kind of like I wasn't on the what do they call that? Like listed as a student because I didn't complete the required hours in order to get into school where they pay for your education. So I never completed it. So I never got to go like onto like roster to be like my freshman year, second year. It was a program that was under, it was for mothers who wanted to attend college and grad school.
You didn't attend Emory Law School, did you, ma'am?
It was a I did it. I was not on the roster because it was a program, and the program was for like mothers or underprivileged people who could not pay for college. And you had to do like, it was kind of like volunteer stuff that I did for Emory. Then you could say it was volunteer.
You did not attend Emory Law School, did you?
On the roster, no, but I volunteered every day.
On your resume, which you sent out to get bail bonding companies in other counties, you attended.
Oh,
you did.
out of my potential.
Because I did. I went every day, volunteered. It was my time that I went. So, and I still was under the program, but I never could afford Emory under their criteria on the roster, but I volunteered. So yes, I attend, but I never went to like their classes like a regular student.
Let me just ask you, just yes or no, if you can do it.
Yeah.
In the fall of 1991, you entered Emory University School of Law and completed 2 years of the 4-year program leading to the Juris Doctor. True or false?
No.
Did you, in fact, when you applied to be a bail bondswoman in Clayton County, attach a resume that included exactly that sentence?
Yes, because I did go to Emory 2 years under the program.
Is this your resume that you sent to Clayton County Sheriff's Department?
Correct.
Your Honor, I tender defense exhibit 19.
No objection.
Response, defense 19 is admitted without objection.
What I just read to you is right here, correct? I consider have his pen notes. In the fall of 1991, she entered Emory University School of Law and completed 2 years of the 4-year program leading to the Juris Doctor. That's false.
It was going to be a program entering to the Juris Doctrine. But I was a mother, like I said, I didn't complete the program, but it still counted.
After you completed your 2 years at Emory Law School, did you then go work for the most prestigious law firm in the Southeast, if not the country, King & Spalding?
I worked for Blackwood and Matthews, King & Spalding. Yes, I did.
You worked for King & Spalding for a while?
Yes, I did.
Okay. King & Spalding is where Griffin Bell, George Busby are the senior partners, is that right? Did you work with Griffin Bell a little bit?
No, I did not. I don't know who Griffin Bell is.
Okay. How long were you at King & Spalding?
I was under a temp service with King & Spalding.
How long were you at King & Spalding?
Whenever they called me out through temporary service.
How many times did you go to King & Spalding?
I think that they had contracted me out for like about 3 months.
You were at King & Spalding for 3 months?
I'm not for sure of the exact, there was contracted work through a temporary agency.
Would it surprise you that King & Spalding has no records of you ever setting foot in their building?
Well, I bet you the temporary agency does.
Where's King & Spalding located?
Downtown
Where?
on Peachtree,
Where?
Peachtree Street.
You said that
My.
Sheriff Dorsey said to you, nobody would believe you. That was the problem with why you never reported to anybody?
Correct.
You recall filing a lawsuit?
I have not filed the lawsuit.
Never filed a lawsuit in your life?
Yeah, I have, but I have not filed a lawsuit yet on this particular thing.
Well, we'll get there. Do you remember filing a lawsuit in 1994 against your former employer, SBE Environmental Company?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You claimed sexual harassment in that
Yes,
case.
Your Honor.
Response,
Dekalb President, outside the president.
Absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to go back into the jury room for just a few minutes. It shouldn't be long. Thank you.
It's about to go
Ms.
down.
McMichael, I'm going to ask you to step right outside and remain there for just a
Oh, I
minute.
hope we get to see it. I hope we get to see this sidebar.
All right, proceed, please.
Your Honor, she previously filed a lawsuit in, I think it was Fulton Superior Court, styled Shirley McMichael versus SBE Environmental Company, civil action file number, if it makes a difference, 94 VS 84937. In that lawsuit, she contended that her employer at the time had sexually harassed her. I'm not going into the substance of it, but in her deposition that was taken, she said, "My assailant said to me, they'll never believe you if you make this allegation." All I want to show is that she makes the same claim with regard to employers or someone in a superior position. Back in 1994, the time of this deposition was, the deposition was January 19th, 1995. Almost verbatim, she uses the same words in her deposition as she uses today. It's not a claim of necessarily of a false allegation. It's just the consistency with which she makes allegations against either an employer or a person in as the state's claiming, a superior position. I think the jury has a right to know it's clearly relevant evidence, and moreover, it's sworn testimony that she's given in a prior proceeding. It's classic impeachment evidence, testimony of sworn testimony in a prior proceeding. The jury can give it what weight it's entitled to. If the jury thinks it's irrelevant or thinks that she just is unlucky enough to be frequently victimized, so be it.
Well, frequently victimized, what you're talking about is something that occurred, what, 8 years before?
The testimony was 1995 in the deposition. Right. The events were, I can't remember exactly, but you know, a year or so before, 2 years before perhaps.
All right.
It had to have been 93, 94 because the deposition, she's talking about her education, and not surprisingly, she doesn't mention never having gone to Emory, but so I know that it's at least the event had to have been 93 or 94.
Right. Response.
But she could also, on the other side of things, she could also have a habit of.
Yes, Your Honor, this is analogous to a rape case where if a victim had been raped before and they're trying to get into the fact that she had been raped before or made an allegation of rape before, then it would be impeachable. There is totally irrelevant.
But let me ask you this. Does rape shield attach where there's no rape as part of the indicted offense, even though there are allegations of sexual extortion, whatever you want to call it?
Absolutely. What they're trying to do is say that why is this relevant? Either it's true or not true.
Right.
And if it is true, then it's absolutely irrelevant. If it is not true, they have not served us with any notice that they intend to go into any false allegations of sexual misconduct, which is required by the statute in Logan versus State 212 Georgia Appeals 734. Rape shield
say that again.
212 Georgia Appeals 734 1994. Holding that rape shield statute applied to victim statements to defendant about having had sexual relations with men, they have to first show there has to be a hearing first, notice to the state to prepare for it, so we can defend.
So let's have a little mini sidebar while they work this out, right? And we'll see what happened. So I get it. I get it. Let me speak for me. I get it. Yes. People we know that this is a horrible condition that women didn't have to put up with, all races and everything. We know that sexual harassment happens. We know that sexual abuses happen. I understand victimization, right? I understand predators. But at the same time, is there not also cases of liars? Is there not cases of vindictiveness? Is there not cases of using those type of claims, to be, and isn't it fair so you can have your just day in court? Shouldn't those avenues be pursued? You know, I don't think it makes her any less of a victim, but don't he have a duty to his client to put on a good defense for his client? I'm not arguing with y'all. We're just having a very heated discussion, very passionate discussion, right? From all sides of things. Because at the end of the day, my personal feelings is with him being in a position of authority, with him being in a position of being able to financially manipulate her and exploit her is still wrong. Wrong. You're not going to out-argue me. Why y'all playing over here by my desk? I know it's your birthday, boy. You know, and I know sometimes, you know, this is our audience, our little community over here is mainly 90% women, 99% women. Right? And so it's offensive. It's triggering almost. It's offensive. But at the same time, you know, y'all wanted me to practice being a little bit more balanced and not so biased. You know, I'm trying here.
In any event, probative.
Because guess what? Calling to her character, now we know I think she's a victim because of the power aspect, right? We heard this in another trial. We heard this in that trial with the domestic violence deal. Time to go back. Great conversation, y'all. Y'all keep on.
To the extent it's relevant is very weak, which normally would be in favor of admissibility. The jury would go to the weight of it. But given the allegations in this case that Ms. McMichael has raised and the indictment has raised, rise to rape, I do find that the rape shield would apply in this case. It's very weak on the relevance factor, and that also sways me. But I think that it's inappropriate to go into this area with Ms. McMichael, so I'm going to ask you to move on. Your objection can be noted for the record. If there's anything else you want to put on the record, please do so.
I can do it now, or I can do it at a break. I just want to, maybe I'll tender that page of the deposition at some point. It's convenient to everybody.
So the judge said no.
Well, let me just, so I can just say it real quick if I don't forget it. Page 157 of the deposition, and I'll get it in the record before the end of the day.
Deposition that was taken in 1995 dealing with a lawsuit she made involving sexual harassment.
There was a lawsuit involving sexual harassment against her employer. The lawsuit was dismissed. And in the deposition, what she said was, my boss said to me, you can never tell anybody because nobody will ever believe you. They'll believe me, which is in essence the same thing she's saying that Sheriff Dorsey said here.
I understand.
All right.
All right, we're moving on. Anything else before we bring them back in? All right, let's bring them back in. Do you have any idea about how much more? I'm just trying to get an idea.
I thought y'all was thanking me.
All right.
I thought y'all was
Village there, well,
thanking me
no.
for that wonderful commentary. Okay.
Go ahead and have a seat.
Ooh, egg on my face.
All right, please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I appreciate your patience. From time to time, I have to look at things, and rather than have you wait, I figure you're more comfortable back there. So that's what happens from time to time. Again, I appreciate it. All right, go ahead and proceed.
Mr. McMichael, I want to ask you a few questions about your allegation that you gave money to Sheriff Dorsey other than the $2,500, okay?
Sure.
Over the course of time, you bought presents for Sheriff Dorsey, did you not?
I bought presents, yes.
Okay. You didn't tell the GBI about that or J. Tom Morgan or the DAs about the presents you bought him, did you?
I believe I did. I'm not really for sure.
You believe you did? Do you remember in December 1999 buying a watch for Sheriff Dorsey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I remember that.
Remember going to Mayor in Berkeley?
Absolutely.
Okay. Spent $1,500 at Mayor in Berkeley jewelry store in Atlanta. Is that correct?
Correct.
Let me show you what I'll mark as defendant exhibit, wait a minute, on what?
I've got a gap between 14 and 18.
I think some were tendered and not admitted, but let me just keep going, Your Honor. I'll fill in numbers later if I may.
Then the next one would be 20.
Defendant's exhibit 20, is this the receipt where you bought the $1,500 watch for Sheriff Dorsey?
Yes, it was a Christmas gift, I believe.
That's right, December 23rd, 1999. And I'm showing you the Rado, what kind of watch is that?
A Rado, R-A-D-O.
Okay.
It's a Christmas gift.
Your Honor, if I could just, I'm not going to tender this in evidence because I don't have $1,500 to donate to the clerk's office, but if I could just pass this to the jury.
Sure.
This is December of 1999, correct?
That is correct.
This is the same month you testified yesterday about not being able to have Christmas gifts for your kids. You remember that? Was that what you testified to yesterday?
It was charged on a charge account.
Okay. You also bought him a smoking jacket, did you not?
I did.
You did.
I did.
You remember buying him this smoking jacket here?
Absolutely.
You sure it's not fit?
Neiman Marcus, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. How much did this cost?
I believe I'm not really for sure the price, but
Now two of us have robes.
I don't recall the price, but he also bought me gifts, which is every time I bought him a gift, he had already bought me a gift.
When did you buy this gift for him?
Maybe this lawyer put known for his city.
Probably was either birthday or Christmas or something like that.
Okay. And do you recall how much it cost?
I don't, but it wasn't a lot.
Okay.
Exactly, see the free. What you over there laughing for? You ain't been in sucker.
Neiman Marcus. Guess I'll donate. Defendant's exhibit 21. I'm sorry, I didn't catch you. When did you say that you bought that gift for him?
Actually, I bought that gift when he bought me a red fox.
Red Fox, is that? I guess that's like a mink coat or something?
It is.
You all exchanging a lot of gifts, weren't you?
No, he bought that for me first,
Okay.
and then I thought I would buy that.
Okay. You didn't tell the GBI about any of these gifts, did you?
They didn't ask me.
They didn't ask you. By the way, the jewelry store, Mayer in Berkeley later changed its name to Mayer's, is that right?
I don't know.
Okay. And during the time period that you testified yesterday that you were having struggling with your son at Morehouse, you went and bought a couple of Rolex watches for $40,100. You recall that? Mm-hmm. $40,000 worth of Rolex watches?
Yes.
You remember buying that?
Mm-hmm.
And then a little while later, another $27,000 masterpiece. You recall that?
Yes, those are my boyfriend's. I only charged him on my account, but he paid it.
And then you bought a $69,000 ring, is that correct?
Correct. That also was my boyfriend's that he made all those payments.
And this is during the time period that you say that you were struggling with trying to keep your son going through Morehouse, is that right?
That's not correct. I said during 1997, I wanted my son to go to college. And that was why I never gave up the bonding company, was so I can continue to pay for him to go to college. And these receipts right here, those receipts, what you're talking about, were friends of mine that could very well afford that those gifts. If you look on them, those are men's watches. I only charged them on my account for them.
The Princess Cut, that's a men's watch? It's an odd name for a man's watch, a Princess Cut?
It's a men's watch on there too.
Is the Princess Cut a man's watch?
No, the Princess Cut is a lady's watch.
Okay. What is this? Let me show you. You've already identified this. May I tender defense exhibit 22-year-old?
Response?
No objection.
All right. Defense 22 is admitted without objection.
See the princess cup for $69,000 there?
hmm
That's not a man's watch.
It's not a watch at all.
It's a woman's item of jewelry, correct?
It's a diamond. It's a cut on a diamond. The guy that I initially started with, he, Major Everett, the guy that I was telling you about, I only charged the items to my account, but he paid for them.
And the masterpiece, what's the masterpiece? This will be defendant's exhibit 23.
That was his watch. He played professional football. I only charged it on my account. He played for the Falcons.
Who's this?
Major Everett, I'm sure he could afford it. He was getting like $20,000. He used to get like $20,000 a week, so I'm sure he could afford it.
You get 20.
Are you tendering it?
I'm tendering defense exhibit.
Is there a response?
Okay.
All right, it's admitted without objection. Before, hold on.
Sorry.
I know, too much caffeine. Before you put it up there, you need to tender it. I need to get a response. You're welcome. All right, it's a defend, 23 is admitted without objection.
Major Everett, Falcons football player, wanted you to put the masterpiece on your credit card bill?
Everything I charged on my account.
What year did he play for the Falcons?
I'm not him, so you'd have to ask him that.
What decade did he play for the Falcons?
You'd have to ask him that.
Do you even know what century he played for them?
You'd have to ask him that.
This is another bill from, this is all on your account. It's now called Mayor's because they changed their name from Mayor in Berkeley. Is that also a purchase you made at Mayor's?
Correct.
That's defendant's exhibit 24.
So you're tendering it.
Yes, sir.
Response?
Okay.
Submitted without objection.
This is a better copy if I can just switch them. And this is a $55,800 payment on a bracelet. I'm sorry, $55,000, $800 bracelet. Is that correct?
That was reversed if you look at it. That was returned.
Well, actually, I was unfair with this, brother. There are two different documents. We'll look at both of them. You bought it, you returned it, you bought it again. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct.
Look at the two documents.
I know what the documents is saying, that I bought it, returned it, then kept it again, but it was returned. And none of these gifts were mine. Like I said, these were all gifts that he bought on my account, but he eventually paid the account. He just didn't have the credit, so there were no gifts of mine. They're not my ring or my watch or none of that. I only let him use my account because he didn't have credit. He had bad credit, but he had the money.
Okay, it's taking a pause for the calls for our listeners up in the skybox who may not be looking down. I just put a poll, a jury poll in the chat. It says, let's see. Is your opinion of her character and or truthfulness changing any if Child, y'all know what I was trying to say. Okay. Anyway, the question is your opinion of her character or truthfulness changing any if changed? Child, y'all know what I was trying to say. Child, let's continue. Just hit the poll, please. We'll adjust the poll later. Baby.
With regard to the money that you claim that you gave to Sheriff Dorsey, you do not have a single shred of physical evidence, not a single document to support that you ever gave a penny other than the one campaign contribution. Isn't that correct?
That was his whole idea, not to have a money trail.
You don't have an ATM bill where you took money out of your bank account?
Well, I'm sorry. I would get the money directly from the bonds, like I said.
When you get bonding money, do you report it on your on a ledger that you received cash that day?
On a ledger?
Well, at the bonding company, you must have some method of reporting that you got cash coming in, don't you?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have any of those ledgers that show cash coming in and then it not being deposited in the bank?
Absolutely. He, like I said yesterday, he would know exactly because they have a computer and it tells you exactly like how many bonds you wrote for the day. So he would know, and he would call me on the phone and say like, hey, you did a $55,000 bond. You did good. You know, he wanted 5, or he would just say the amount that he wanted from me. And that was that. I would just give him the money. It was never like I recorded it or anything like that. He never wanted a paper trail.
You didn't report it on your company that you received a cash bond?
I reported it to, what do you mean, my company?
Does the IRS know that the $10,000 came in that day?
Well, I had the same accountant. Remember, he set me up with the accountant. So, yeah, I told the accountant. And so the accountant would count it as like a loss, or I don't know how.
So there's paperwork documenting all this?
I don't know, because I'm not an accountant. You're asking me.
Did the GBI say to you, we want to show the $10,000 coming in and then a loss reported somewhere? Did Mr. Mays say to you, we need to get documentation, just some shred of evidence to support what you're claiming here?
They just asked me what all did I give him, and I told them the truth.
And they didn't ask you for any documents to support what you claim?
Yeah, he asked me if I could, and I gave him the one document to show that he originally asked me for $3,000. I tried to give it to him as a donation, and then he claimed it later on, but I didn't give it to him in July. I mean, I gave it to him in July, not September.
You didn't try to tape them at any time? You ever done that before? Try to tape someone when you're giving them the money so you could have a record?
What do you mean tape him like?
Bring a tape recorder with you.
No, I didn't try to tape him.
Okay. You've done that before, haven't you?
Have I ever taped anyone?
Mm-hmm. Without them knowing about it?
As a joke.
As a joke?
Yeah. Anytime
not as a joke?
Just like with my family on the answer machine and stuff like that. We play, I'd say like I heard her recording and stuff like that with my sister, but no, I haven't like emotionally say, I'm gonna tape you. I can't recall that.
You remember I asked you before about a sexual harassment case that you'd filed?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you tape your employer in that case?
I don't recall taping him, no, and I don't recall even filing it, to be honest with you. I remember going to the manager at that particular company and telling the manager that the guy had smacked me on my bottom.
You don't remember filing a lawsuit?
I mean, we're talking about like 89.
All right, hold on.
88.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, sometimes from time to time, we need to have little sidebar conferences. That's what I call the huddle, so we can all be clear on what we're doing. All right, so again, I appreciate your patience. All right, ma'am, I want you to listen carefully to the questions and answer either yes or no should be sufficient. Go ahead, Mr. Samuel.
In 1994, you were represented by David Cole, correct? He filed a lawsuit on your behalf against SBE Environmental Company, correct?
Correct.
In 1994.
I don't know the exact year.
Okay. In 1995, you were deposed under oath, correct? They took your deposition. The lawyers sat in the conference room and they asked you questions under oath, correct?
I don't remember. Okay,
Does that refresh your recollection?
it does.
And in that deposition, under oath, you testified that you taped, surreptitiously, hidden your employer, correct?
I would have to see it. I don't know. I don't recall. You said this was back in 1994.
Dang, I was reading the chat, typing. I missed this line of questioning, but chill out. Do you see what happened on
Okay, it doesn't say what's on the tape, but it said I taped him, yes.
You taped him without his knowledge, correct?
Correct. I guess, I don't know. You know, you're not gonna make me say a statement that I don't know. I don't know. I can't recall. This is 1994.
I'm not asking you about the content of the tape, but you taped him.
That's what the document said, yes.
The document being your sworn testimony.
Correct.
All right. Now, you were asked yesterday by Mr. Morgan about whether you were given special treatment or preferential treatment, I think were the words he used, by Sheriff Dorsey with regard to picking up fugitives. Is that correct?
I believe that was correct.
Okay. You believe it's correct that he asked you that?
Yes.
Okay. And you said, yes, they would pick up fugitives for me, correct?
Fugitive, yeah, they did pick up.
And that you were given some kind of special treatment, correct?
I don't know about the special treatment.
You remember at the special grand jury, you got that up there, page 40? This is where you were testifying under oath at the grand jury. And a juror specifically asked you, lines 3 through 8, whether you were given any preferential treatment with regard to picking up your customers, your people who had fled. And your response was no. You recall telling the grand jury that under oath?
Because he only picked up the bonds that I gave him, so it was no treatment to me. You know, they weren't doing me a favor. I did not get the money. If I would have got the money, then I would have picked up the people myself. If he took the money, then he should find the people and he should be responsible for it.
Ms. McMichael, if your clients don't show up and you got to pay the bond, you're the one who'd have to pay the bond, right?
Correct.
And when the grand jury asked you, did you ever get special treatment with regard to picking up your customers, you said no. Isn't that what you said?
Correct.
And at the grand jury, when you were asked, You were asked, did you ever get to send deputies out? You said, I don't have that power. They never would pick up my people for me. Do you remember testifying that at the grand jury?
I don't have any deputies.
246. You remember testifying that at the grand jury?
What page are you on?
246?
46?
246.
I don't have any deputies to send out, first of all.
You were asked at the grand jury, were county people ever used to pick up your fugitives? You said no. And then you explained, I don't have that power to have deputies go pick up my fugitives.
I do not have the power to delegate a deputy to pick up for me.
Okay.
Only the sheriff can.
And in fact, in the 50 or 60 pages of special grand jury testimony, and the however many 40 or 50 pages of grand jury testimony, not one time, or in all of your interviews with Mr. Mays, either in October or February, did you ever say that you ever had any kind of preferential treatment from the sheriff, did you? Never.
Because I felt like he picked up his own bonds that he took money from. My bonding company. But whatever he did, I felt like he should, if I wrote a bond and he got the money, then he should be responsible for that bond. And that's what he told me, that whatever bond that he got the money from, that he would be responsible in capturing those people. Because a lot of those bonds I would not write.
You didn't write the bonds? It was you writing bonds?
Yes, it would be me writing bonds, but I'm saying that I would not. There was a lot of corruption in the jail going on at the time. There was a lot of payoffs going on. There was a lot of things going on. And when I first came in, a lot of people would take like payments from other bonding companies was taking payments. People was taking payments from other people. So no.
Back to the question. Go ahead and ask the question.
Are you claiming that Sheriff Dorsey was writing bonds?
I was writing bonds.
You were writing bonds.
Mm-hmm.
You were accepting the premiums from the people.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these people don't show up in court.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, very simply, who's got to go out and pick up those people? Your bounty hunter?
Correct.
Okay? And that's all that can pick up these people, correct?
I don't know if that's all, but yes, my bounty hunters would pick the people up.
There was only one time in 4 years that you ever sought the help of the sheriff in picking up a fugitive. Isn't that correct? One time.
That is not correct.
Look at page 33 of your special grand jury testimony.
I know that's the time that the guy was shooting.
Right. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
One time you sent a bounty hunter to pick up one of your fugitives, and the guy shot at your bounty hunter, right?
Yes, he
He
shot him.
attempted to kill him.
Correct.
And that's the only time you went to the sheriff and said, Sheriff, this is an exceptional case. This is an attempted murder. Will you send the deputy out there to pick up the guy? And he said, okay. Isn't that correct?
That wasn't the only time. That was the only time that people knew about it. But he did that all alone.
You were asked by the grand jury on line 10, any times with just regular bench warrants on cases you were looking for, and your answer under oath, oh, no, not like that. Do you remember telling the grand jury that?
Yeah, I remember telling the grand jury that no.
It never happened except the one time where a guy tried to murder one of your bounty
A
hunters.
guy did try to kill one of my bounty hunters.
And when you were asked under oath by the jurors who wanted to know the truth, did it happen with regular bench warrants? You said, oh, no, not like that, no.
Regular bench warrants are regular bench warrants that come in through they're totally different. You're talking about two different subjects here. I don't even know if you're aware of that.
Ma'am, the sheriff never helped you with FTAs, with failures to appear and regular bench warrants. He never helped you with those except the one time that the guy tried to murder your bounty hunter. Isn't that correct?
That's not true.
Then why did you tell the grand jury, oh no, not like that, that didn't happen?
Your Honor, she tried to explain her answer and he's not clear.
All right,
And then you rephrase it.
all right. He's got a right to a thorough and sifting cross-examination. Ma'am, answer the question and explain your answer if need be.
Okay, I'll explain it I'll start from the beginning. When the grand jury asked me if I received any special favors towards them, I felt as though, no, I per se never received any special favors towards Sidney Dorsey, because any bonds that I gave him that he took the money from, then I felt as though those were the people that he should pick up, that he should be responsible himself for. So,
Can you name any of these people?
All right.
I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
Let her finish. Go ahead, ma'am.
and so that was to that particular incident. And as far as the only time that I was explaining to the grand jury that the only time that he really ever helped me per se was the time that the guy was shooting at me. So there's a difference. And when him helping me, if I took the money, then that's helping me. That particular time, I got the money, so that was helping me. So I want to make that clear.
Thank you. Can you name a single person who the fugitive section went out to get that was somehow related to Sheriff Dorsey's bond?
You'd have to ask Fugitive because he would put those requests.
You wouldn't have any idea who those people
Well,
were.
I write over 1,000 bonds a year, so I don't know particular names.
You don't know any examples where
Without objection.
Your Honor, can I say something? I don't know if I want them to expose my home because I have kids, my life.
All right, hold on. Let me see the photographs.
Yeah.
doesn't have address.
I mean, come on.
Let me just take a look at it. Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Just sit still a minute.
All right, so jury by sidebar. Tomorrow, the first witness we're gonna have is gonna be the henchman. We're getting into the unaliving of the new sheriff, Derwin Brown. This
Why
shows
don't you pass it around to
corruption
the
part.
jury?
Tomorrow, we get into the unaliving portion.
Defendants exhibits 15, 16, and 17 is the house where you live, correct?
Correct.
You had a cubicle in the jail where you could conduct some business, correct?
There was cubicles for every bonding company, correct?
Every bonding company in Dekalb County had that for a while, correct?
Correct.
You weren't given any special treatment with regard to that.
No.
Ms. McMichael, you testified yesterday afternoon about this lunch you had with Sheriff Dorsey after the August election, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And at the beginning of that lunch, as I understand it, what Sheriff Dorsey said to you was that he was hoping he could be a write-in candidate. He could be in the write-in ballot, correct?
He said that something about it would be a special ballot and he could write his name in, yeah.
A write-in ballot, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, as we know at this point, you went to the special grand jury, right? In April of 2001. You went to the indicting grand jury in 2002, correct? You had meetings with Fred Mays, the long transcript, the one where I prepared the transcript in February of 2001, and never once in any of those sworn testimony or your conversation with Fred Mays, did you ever say anything about him putting his fingers a gesture to the head? Did you?
No, I told my lawyers though.
Told your lawyers. You never told Fred Mays that though, did you?
I never told Fred Mays because I was scared for my life.
Okay. You never told Fred Mays before Derwin Brown.
I told Fred Mays that I had believed, I didn't want to just come out and say, what I thought, because what I thought and what actually happened might not have been. I don't know. So
Listen to my question. You never told Fred Mays before December of 2000 anything about Sheriff Dorsey making a gesture with his hand.
No.
Isn't that correct?
that's
Yes
correct.
or no?
That's correct.
All right. You never told the grand jury in April of 2001.
Okay, so Libby, what he talking about right now? He talking about now he passed all that part. Now, this is after when the election was happening with the runoff and the new sheriff got elected. This is when she first told the guy who was investigating the corruption, Sheriff, whatever his name, Lieutenant Mays, whatever, Mays, when they had her wear the wire. Or when, or whenever he was talking to her and he was telling her that he was going to be in a special election. And she asked him how. And then the sheriff went like this. Because, he never was saying nothing out loud. He made this kind of motion pretty much saying, because he's not going to live to see to be the sheriff. So that's what they're talking about now. They didn't moved up past all her indiscretions, whatever. And now they back. Now they talking about the unaliving part with the sheriff and what he told when she said that's what he told her, that hand gesture. Uh-oh. I hope I didn't push the wrong button. Shit.
Anything about this supposed lunch you had, did you? Yes or no? Did you tell the grand jury?
I don't know.
You got the grand jury up there. If you want to read it, you can read it from cover to cover.
Pages are we talking about?
I don't know.
40 or 50 pages. Did you ever tell the grand jury?
I might not have told them because I was scared for my life.
Okay. And in 2002, at the grand jury, you didn't tell the indicting grand jury. 2 years later, you didn't tell the grand jury anything about the supposed lunch with Sheriff Dorsey, did you?
I never wanted to be involved in it, period, because I was scared for my life. So I never told a lot of people anything. That you figure that if a sheriff get killed in the front of his yard, who wants to go around telling somebody?
You didn't have any problem telling Fred Mays about having sex for 8 times or 100 times, depending. You didn't have any problem talking to Fred Mays about money you claimed you gave the sheriff. You didn't have any problem going to the grand jury and talking to J. Tom Morgan and Sean McGrew and John Petrie and Tom Clegg about all the money and all the sex, but you never mentioned that lunch to anybody, did you?
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
Did you?
I never mentioned the lunch.
In fact, when the grand jury asked you under oath, did you ever have any conversations with Dorsey other than your own personal relationship? You said that's all we ever talked about. Isn't that correct?
I can't recall.
Look at the special grand jury, page 29.
Okay, what paragraph are we talking about?
Huh? Lines 11 through 13.
Well, you have to keep in mind, a lot of things I didn't say because the killers were still out there, so I wasn't really trying to step forward. I didn't really step forward to the Fred Mays. He came after me. I was advised by my lawyers. I told my lawyers at the time that I did not want to come forward and make a statement about anything because it was just me and my daughters. So they had the killers still out there, so I had to move like several times, so I wasn't trying to just be like, yada, yada, here I am, when I knew that the sheriff had died, and I did not step forward like that, so I did not volunteer a lot of information. I didn't really want to be involved.
In the late fall of 2000, you knew that Sheriff Dorsey obviously wasn't going to be the sheriff, correct? He'd lost the election.
I knew he had lost the election.
You knew that Derwin Brown was going to be the new sheriff of Dekalb County.
Correct.
You got word, as all the bondsmen did, as happens every time an administration changes, that the sheriff was going to reevaluate everybody's bonding company, right? He has that right as the sheriff, correct?
I knew that there was a new sheriff, yes.
Okay, and you knew that Derwin Brown, he'd sent the notices out to all the bonding companies that we're going to reevaluate and everybody's going to have to kind of reapply in essence, correct?
Like I said yesterday, I don't recall personally getting that statement that you're talking about.
And you went to meet with Derwin Brown, did you not?
Per his request, yes.
Mm-hmm. And you talked to him and you said, you know something, I can tell you something about Sheriff Dorsey, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You didn't tell him that?
No, I did not.
You didn't tell him?
He asked me if would I tell him a few questions about Sheriff Dorsey. Could he ask me a couple questions about him, because he was trying to stop the corruption in DeKalb County.
And you said you got a few things you could tell Derwin Brown, didn't you?
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
I remember him asking me a bunch of questions.
Remember talking to Detective Mays back on February 14th, the tape statement, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hey,
2026.
Oh, let me say this. The new sheriff, Derwin Brown, the victim, unalive victim, he also ran his campaign on the fact of ending corruption. Okay? He ran, his campaign was ran on, he was going to come in and clean up the corruption that had been running rampant in the sheriff's office. At the same time with the election, they was a news journalist had actually done an expose on this guy, on the defendant. So all of this was coming out at the same time. That right when they have the election, he actually got an opponent. The opponent coming in saying he gonna end corruption, clean it up. The news reporters, they doing a whole expose where they showing and recording and catching people working on the clock for his own company. All this was happening at the same time. Okay. Y'all, let's finish out her testimony. Y'all, let's try to finish out her testimony.
You talked to him about the fact that you've been having a sexual relationship with Sheriff Dorsey, correct?
Correct.
You told Derwin Brown that in December, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you gained the confidence of Derwin Brown at that time, did you not? He said he was gonna look into this, right? And you were gonna get to keep your bonding company, correct?
I don't recall what all he said. He just asked me, he said that he would help me. He didn't tell me that I was going to keep my bonding company. I'm not really for sure of his exact words or his statements.
And you remember you went up to Sheriff Dorsey's office and you stole some papers off his desk, do you recall that?
I didn't steal the papers off of his desk. I had some papers and I laid it on top of some papers, and that was some
And you
his papers underneath.
And you accidentally picked up about 25 pages of one of your competitors' bonding documents, correct?
I really didn't look into it.
You didn't look into it, but you looked into it enough to pick up all these documents and bring them to Derwin Brown, didn't you?
He had asked me if I could bring him anything that,
Okay. And what you brought was some documents about one of your competitors, Hosea Bonding, correct?
no, it was other things in there.
Mm-hmm. And you just picked these up accidentally off the sheriff's desk and accidentally brought them to Derwin Brown?
No, I didn't accidentally bring them to Derwin Brown. Derwin Brown asked me to bring them.
How did he know that you had accidentally picked up 25 papers of one of your competitors?
Because at the time when Derwin Brown took office, his main objective was he was going to audit the sheriff's department, and that he knew that there was a lot of corruption going on in the sheriff's department, and that was his main goal, to stop it. So he had asked me if I could give him a list of all of Sydney's friends and to help him to stop the corruption. He asked me if I'd known anything to stop the corruption, that anything that Sydney had done over the years that might help him during his investigation. And I said, well, I have some documents, but I haven't read them thoroughly. I didn't read all the documents through. So it wasn't just about Jose's bonding company. It was other stuff in there also.
Mm-hmm. When he asked you, give me everything you know about corruption, all you could give him was some documents about one of your competitors and the fact they didn't have enough collateral, Hosea Bonding. Isn't that right? That they were using a letter of credit instead of cash, with some irregularity with Hosea Bonding.
She knows what the content of documents are. We haven't seen those documents.
Whatever they were.
But unless she personally knows what the contents of the documents are, I object going into them.
Well, she took them off the sheriff's desk. She gave them to Derwin Brown. I don't have them. I have to ask her.
Hold on. Did you look at the documents? Do you know what was on the documents?
No, ma'am.
Well, but let me ask you, why did you think they were important to give to Derwin Brown if you never looked at them?
Because he asked me for anything that I had.
So you went to Sheriff Dorsey's office. You put some pieces of paper down on his desk. And then when you were ready to go home, you went like this, and you picked up his papers too, right?
Yeah.
And sometime later, Derwin Brown said, you got anything that can help me? And you go, oh, well, look here, you can have this.
Correct.
That's all you could give him on corruption in the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office, something you never even looked at.
That wasn't all I could give him. I could tell him the things that Sydney had told me during the 4 years of his election, and I told him. And evidently those documents, whatever it was that I gave him, was so important because later on they could never find those documents when he died, so it must have been really important.
Or maybe he just threw them in the garbage can.
I don't know. Nobody knows.
Ma'am, you testified at the Ramsey Walker trial that there's no lawsuit that you have pending against DeKalb County. Is that correct? Okay. The fact of the matter is you hired a law firm in anticipation of filing a lawsuit against DeKalb County. Is that correct?
That may be coming true, yes.
Okay. It may be coming true. You filed what's known as an anteleadum notice, is that right?
I don't know what my lawyers filed. So.
The lawyers haven't talked to you about what it is that they're filing on your behalf?
No, they haven't.
Have they told you how many millions of dollars they hope you can get by suing DeKalb County?
No, they haven't told me any of that.
What have they told you?
My lawyers told me that it would be a slim chance to none, that no one ever really beats the county. So I said that I would like to be compensated for the running, the fear of my life and my children and my family, and for the torment that I went through over the 5 years with Sydney Dorsey.
That's why you went to this law firm, Carnesal and DeLon, right? To file a lawsuit against DeKalb County, see how much money you could get?
No, sir. Larry, DeLon, and Keith has been my lawyer for 5 years.
Is this a copy of the anteleadum notice they filed telling DeKalb County we're getting ready to sue you?
Now you're asking me for something that I didn't write, so.
Did they send you a copy of the anteleadum notice they sent?
I never got this copy. I've never seen it.
You can do it, Mr. Punam. We're almost there.
You've never seen the animal like this?
I've never seen it.
Let me see. We have 56 minutes.
In fact, when you got ready to serve the animal, even though
Do
this
it, y'all. Do it. I believe in y'all.
with all of your fear and not wanting your house seen, you had a big press conference, didn't you? You invited all the press in and said, come to my lawyer's office. And you had a press conference with your lawyers, didn't you?
My lawyers gave a press conference
With you there.
because the TV was actually chasing me down, so I did not want them to be hiding at my house and following me and stuff. And so I told my lawyers that they were following me everywhere I go. And like when I would get out the cars, they would just run up to me with the camera. And so I have 2 daughters. And so whenever they would go to school, they'd be like, I seen your mommy on TV. So my lawyer said in order to prevent it, because they would continue to do it to me, was to just give he would set it up so they can just ask me whatever questions they wanted to ask me. So he set it up at his office.
You said you hired them 5 years ago?
I'm sorry?
Did you say you hired Mr. Cornerstone to land 5 years ago?
It might have been around 5 to 3 years ago.
And they weren't lawyers 5 years ago in private practice. Would that surprise you?
I don't know. They were DA's office. As soon as they finished the DA's office, I hired them.
That's all I had to.
Anything further?
Yes.
All right, y'all. Everybody can relax. Take a deep breath. We made it through. Oh, great Jehovah, how we made it over. Made it over. Redirect from the state. Damage control.
Ms. McMichael, before you talk with Agent Mays, was he the first person in law enforcement other than Sheriff-elect Brown that you told about the sexual relationship with Mr. Dorsey?
In law enforcement?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. And prior to that time, had you had any counseling as a result of your relationship?
No, I have not.
Was there a victim counselor with Agent Mays when he talked with you?
Relevance.
Just, what was your demeanor during that interview, please, ma'am?
I was distraught, just I've been devastated since the whole thing, really.
Right, they have. I'm gonna put it up on that. Give me Mr. Samuel's book.
That's what happens when you've got one judge and how many lawyers? All right. Is it 6 against 1? All right. Go ahead.
Defense counsel asked you about portions of the statement you gave to Agent Mays, is that correct?
Correct.
We'll show you just a couple of pages from that statement.
Okay.
This last page. I'm going to ask you if this is correct and incorrect, or if it's not stated correctly. Right here. And then he stood you up and tried to tell you to relax and then actually ripped open your blouse. And that's a statement you gave on the 14th, is that right?
Correct.
Buttons come off. What's your answer?
Correct.
Okay, did it tear?
Correct.
Blouse? You still have that, no one knows what your answer was because it's unintelligible.
Correct.
And then Agent Mays asked you, you said that he basically pushed you up against the wall so that you were facing the wall and your back was to him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, your answer was?
Correct.
Okay. And I'll let you sort of go from there. And again, can you describe the physical actions that he took? You said he undid your pants. Is that correct? And you were wearing pants, and your answer was?
Mm-hmm. That was my answer. Mm-hmm.
Okay. One other thing I want to ask you, did he move most of the material, or how did it go? What was your answer?
My answer was no. He unbuttoned my pants, and I believe my panties wasn't really a thong. I can't remember laughing, but then like a little tiny is strip. Then he just removed it and.
He just removed it, or he just moved it?
Just moved it and.
Okay, so he didn't even remove your pants. He just sort of pulled them to the side.
Correct.
Were your pants completely off, or were they just pulled down? Your answer was?
Down by my knees.
Did he pull them out down?
Mm-hmm.
Was he saying anything during all this time?
No, except he didn't hurt me.
He said he would not hurt you. Did you say anything?
No, I was fine.
Your Honor, yeah, I don't know why this is, you're putting up a prior consistent statement. Same rule? Same. All right.
Just want to go into a few more parts of that statement that he went into defense counsel. Did you ever tell him that you didn't want to? I mean, did you ever tell him no, or I don't want you to do this, or anything like that?
Yeah, I told him no the first time. I told him no the second time. And he kind of just wiped the tears from my eyes and kind of stuck his fingers in my mouth.
When you were saying no, he stuck his finger in your mouth.
Yes. He goes,
Okay, now, second time, you mean second time at that location, or second time at a different location? Do you remember? And now, I didn't respond to that question. I think she's, I don't remember.
I don't remember. I really didn't understand the question.
My question or
Yeah.
Mr. May's question?
Your question.
Okay.
Okay, I get it. So the papers that he reading, the transcript is not from last night when she was on the stand, the first day on the stand. It's not from her testimony in front of the grand jury. This is the transcript of what she told the investigating officer, that Mays person, when he first asked her about all this and the corruption. This is what she first told the investigating officer, because that's who Mays is. Okay. So I don't think it's a disposition. She look fucked up right here where I paused that. This show y'all how tired she is. She ready to go. I feel you, girl. The jury box ready for you to go. We tied with you.
Explain your answer here.
We tied. What else you think?
I told him no first time, I told him no the second time, he kind of just wiped my tears from my eyes and kind of like stuck his fingers in my mouth. That's your answer.
Right. That means that I told him no 2 times.
I told him no to.
Now, Mr. Samuel also went into a statement that you gave to the grand jury regarding writing many notes. Okay?
During the periods of that conversation, when you asked about the bribes, what did he do? And what was your answer?
What line are we talking
The
about?
very bottom line. Very bottom question, the very bottom answer.
And it says, and you met the sheriff at the restaurant, is that right? That's correct. During the periods of the conversation, when you asked him about bribes, what did he do? He started writing me notes to say, am I wired? He saw the guy because a witness went up to him. Waitress went up to him. I guess she asked him, did he want anything to eat or drink? And he shook his head no. And he's a detective. He's not stupid. And he kind of noticed him that he wasn't eating and he wasn't drinking, and he started writing me notes like, are you wired? Please tell me, Shirley, now. Please tell me, Shirley, you know. What did you do with the notes? He got mad and he grabbed the pieces of paper and crumbled them, and he said, don't ever come around me no more.
Okay. Do you recall whether the "Are you wired? Please tell me, Shirley" was written on one napkin or 2 napkins or 2 pieces of the same napkin? Do you even remember?
I can't really recall, to be honest with you.
Is there any question in your mind, though, what was written on the napkin?
No, there's no question.
Okay. You also referred to page 246 of the grand jury transcript.
Question from a juror. While you was in the buying company there, did you use any of the county people in your company to buy time or help you do any other work? Your answer was?
No, I didn't use any of the county people.
Did the sheriff use any of the county people to help you in your work?
The sheriff used the county people.
But you did not use the county.
I did not use the county people.
But it was her company. See, it's right there where she missing word. Me.
When you testified before the special grand jury, okay, in April 2001, was that before or after the arrest of Sheriff Dorsey, Paul Skyers, Patrick Cuffey, David Ramsey, and Melvin Walker?
That was after the arrest.
No, I'm talking about in April of 2000, not the last time you
The
testified.
special grand juror.
The special grand jury.
That was before.
Okay. At that time, Mr. Dorsey had never been arrested on any of these charges, right?
Correct.
He was still in the community, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you, prior to talking with Agent Mays, had you told anyone about Sheriff Dorsey putting his finger to his head? Anyone at all? Family, relatives, friends? Have you told anyone? Before speaking with Agent Mays?
I object to the form of the question. She said she never told Agent Mays.
Before the conversation with Agent Mays, did you tell Benjamin Warren, your nephew, or any relative or anyone about the lunch meeting?
I told my lawyer and I told my family.
Okay. And specifically who in your family?
I told my son, I told my nephews that I thought that the sheriff was going to kill Derwin Brown.
Okay. And and that nephew being Benjamin Warren,
Correct.
and that was before the meeting with Agent Mays, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Again, why at the time in February 14th, 2001, did you not specifically tell Agent Mays about the finger to the head?
Because Sheriff Dorsey was not arrested and neither was any of the other two guys, so they were still out. They were still out, regular. They had no nothing on them. So I wasn't trying to just go and volunteer like, oh, he said he's gonna kill him, or I wasn't trying to just volunteer that information because none of them had been arrested. None of them had no charges on them. So, and then it was just me and my daughters. So I was scared really for my life. So I wasn't trying to just step up and say that.
Ms. McMichael, why did you buy Defendant Dorsey a watch and a smoking jacket?
I bought him the watch as a Christmas gift because all of the bonding companies gave him really cash donations or gifts, and I gave him, and he bought me a cross for Christmas, and I had not bought him no gift first. He had bought me that, and then after I got his gift, then I was like, wow, he had bought me a gift. So I went out and bought him the gift because he had gave me his gift first. If you look on this receipt, it's December the 23rd. So, he had already given me his gift. So I was like, wow, at the last minute. So I was like, okay, let me go and give him a gift.
I asked you specifically about 2 days at the Fairfield Inn, whether or not you remember that you were there on those specific days. I approach you on. Objection. You need to come forward. Show what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 3. Actually, if you look at those first 2 pages, do they refresh your memory?
Did you say State's number 3?
63.
Welcome back, Donnie. Well, I'm glad you're here now.
That's the specific dates you were at the Fairfield Inn.
And I hope all is well.
Correct.
What are those dates, please, ma'am?
It is February the 15th of 2000 and 3/29th of 2000.
Were you there with Defendant Dorsey at that time?
Correct.
Did you have sexual intercourse with Defendant Dorsey at that time?
Correct.
Ms. McMichael, at any time when let me go back. The $2,500, you said you wrote that in July. Is that correct?
Correct.
After the meeting at O'Charlie's, where the napkin was written on, "Are you white?" Did you have a communication regarding being refunded $500?
I've never had a conversation with the sheriff thereafter. He never refunded me anything.
Did you ever believe you were going to be refunded $500?
No.
Now, do you and the sheriff at that time, did y'all have the same accountant?
Correct. He set everything up.
So everything that was in your account was handled by the same accountant that handled Defendant Dorsey's, is that correct?
Correct.
Would you never receive a refund of $500 at any time?
I never got it.
Okay. When you say you never got it, did you ever hear that you were going to get it?
I never heard that I was going to get it because he's never given me money back before.
Okay. So any of the time that you were given money, you gave money, you were never given any money back, is
I
that?
was never given no money back.
When Defendant Dorsey told you Derwin would never take office, did you ask him what he meant by that?
I was scared.
Okay, I'm talking about at the lunch.
No, I didn't ask him.
Okay. And you, after getting your bonding company, you sets and money to Defendant Dorsey.
Yes, I did.
No further questions.
All right.
Almost there. Oh, Lord. If they gonna redirect,
You sold Sheriff Dorsey your car, didn't you?
Actually, Sheriff Dorsey loved my car. He took my car and never gave it back. So I didn't have no alternative but to sell it.
Right here, this is outside the scope of redirect. Sure.
You went to a bank?
Hold on. In response to the objection, it's clearly outside the scope of redirect.
Your accountant was Lewis Vincent, is that correct?
Correct?
With
baby,
regards
she
to
about to take off that stand. Look at her. She ready to go. Her body language said, I'm about to run up out of here.
the fugitive warrants, that you said the sheriff would send the people out to get the people who failed to appear, the people on your bonds?
Correct.
Okay. Did you ever go to Charles Bell and demand that he reassign someone to go pick up one of your people?
Charles Bell's, I don't know who he is.
Well, he's the commander of the fugitive squad. Did you ever go to Charles Bell and demand that he reassign one of his people to go pick up one of your?
I don't think I'd demand. I think I would probably ask them because some of the fugitives up there that pick up, they're better than others, just like in any scope. And if I thought that another person could catch it, yeah, I would ask that.
Did you ever go to Wayne Nelson and ask him to go pick up one of your?
Yes.
Now, the notes at the restaurant at O'Charlie's in October of 2000. Mr. Morgan, we've gone over it now. Mr. Morgan said that maybe it was on 2 or 3 pieces of paper that he wrote, "Are you wired?" You say he wrote that?
Yes, he wrote.
Your kids were all at dinner with you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You wrote notes back to him, correct? He wrote a note to you. In fact, the note that he wrote to you had to do with meeting him later that night, didn't it?
No.
The problem was the kids were sitting right at the dining room table, right at the table with you. Isn't that correct?
Oh, no.
You deny that that's what the note said?
No, he's very arrogant. He would have just said it. Thank you.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You can step down and go off that way.
Let's see how fast you get the hell off that stand. Ooh, I didn't think y'all gonna be able to make it tonight, baby. It was touch and go. It was touch and go for a moment in the Lit jury box. But guess what, you guys? Congratulations. Y'all made it through. Everybody is okay. Okay. And now y'all get to go have a good night, a decompression session. And then guess what? We'll meet back here tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all can hear me. Let me wait because my thing frozen. I don't even know if y'all can hear me right now. So let me hold on. Okay. So guess what? Oh, we made it through. We made it through. We made it through. Okay, so this was a good trial to get started with because y'all, we got to get our jury box chops, okay? Because these legendary trials are not called legendary trials for no reason. Okay, so we just getting ready for this 2025 content. Meet me in the same place, same time tomorrow evening. We're getting into the hired hitman testimony, okay? All right. Thank you, guys. Court is now dismissed. We will definitely keep you and your family in prayer, Connie. Whatever you're going through, he can carry you through. Ask me how I know. Because he has done the same for me and plenty other people. Prayers up for Connie, y'all. It's going to be okay.
Thanks for watching. Do not forget click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Like, comment and share. See you next time.